Welcome everybody to the track guide for week 7 in the Cadillac at Road America, Wisconsin's favorite racetrack. There's a lot of corners, a lot to get through. There's a lot of long straights, so I'm going to just cut from corner to corner because hopefully you all know how to use 100% throttle and keep the car in a straight line on the straights. Corners are the tricky bits, and that's what I'll be covering. So we're coming down the front straight, going pretty fast, let out in 6th. The first lot of cones here, the 4 cones, that is my braking marker for turn 1. Just before I get there, I'm on the brakes, although in the car it feels like it's when you get there. Going down to 3rd gear. Then roughly about this curb is the turn-in point, wanting to trail brake way into the corner. All that tiny little bit is helping. Wanting to stay on this curb majority of the time around there. And then just as you start to get towards the halfway point and you can start accelerating, when you get to roughly the end of it, that is when you get back to full power. Like that. You can then run the car out onto this curb, like so, including this curb along here. It's a short run up to turn 2. You've got the 4, the 3, the marker for the 2. There is a white line on the ground, and also the number 2 over there, which can be a little hard to see. But that is what I am using as my brake marker. So there's the 2, there's the line, brakes applied. A more gentle brake here, not braking too hard, down to 3rd. You might feel like you want to use 2nd here, but this car has a lot of torque. So 3rd is fine. Into your trail braking, again you want to keep your right side tyres on the curb, ride it around. And a little bit of gas around the halfway point, and again just to get towards the end of the curb, full throttle out onto the exit curb. Like so. So we've skipped the real technical bit of really long straight. We're coming down to very difficult braking zone. 5, 4, and then the 3 is roughly where we're looking to brake. This car, despite being sort of borderline an early GT3, it's not that good at braking. In a GT3 you'd be looking at the 2 or maybe just past it. Here this one needs a little bit more care and attention. There we go, starting to brake, and I'm getting to the 3. Poor amount of pedal overlap there, should be off the gas before I'm using the brake. So holding a pretty constant 70-ish%, much more than about 75%, and you will be locking up. So we're braking in a straight line, but on an angle taking you out here, going over this white line and onto the curb. It's not a 1X. It opens up the next corner. That is not a 1X. Get it down to 2nd and turn in. Try and clip this curb here. And as always, when we're getting towards the apex, to introduce some acceleration, pushing out onto this curb-like surface, I suppose. That is not a 1X. This entire curb is fine to use, so this is fine. To 3rd gear. Then up here, this is coming over a horizon. As soon as you get past this bridge, there's a 90-degree left-hander. So we need to be careful about this. Of starting to let off the gas just as we're coming up the rise. You want to get the braking done while you still have wheels on the ground, because as the car gets light, braking becomes very difficult. And that's regardless of what car you're in with this corner. We're braking just before the bridge, very light brake, down to second. The car's very light, wobbly at this point. It's just settling down, then we can turn in. A little bit of trail brake to just make sure it gets onto that curb. Then just playing with the throttle, waiting for the car to rotate. Bang, throttle. Straight over to the left, and you'll see, might be hard to see, but it's more noticeable in the car. There is a portion of paint here that just, it looks a bit different, and that's my, just here, and that's sort of my reference point for turning in. Try and turn in there, and maybe you need a little trail brake. I tend to just lift a bit, tip it in, get onto this curb in the car. It feels like you're driving over here, just on the curb. And when you get to about here, you can use a lot more throttle. Drive right out onto the curb over there. That is fine. It's allowed. And coming up to another very important braking area. 4, 3, and then just before the 2 or around the 2 is where I'm looking to brake. And this is an easy braking spot to get wrong. Oh, so I'm actually braking a lot of, in my mind, as soon as I'm getting close to the 2, that's when I'm braking, but clearly I'm braking earlier than what I think. Down to second, very important to do all of that braking in a straight line. Turning in from end of curb, hitting that curb. Bringing in that throttle at the apex to continue the rotation. In this next part, there is no real line. There's a case of coming out nice and wide to the left and trying to balance this as much as you can. You'll feel the car when it starts to push, hence I'm starting to come out of the gas, wanting to stay tightish, but diamond it where I go out to roughly halfway. As you can see, no gas, tiny amount of trail, while the corner tightens up and then starting to come into the gas as it starts to open up again. I'm pretty happy with that sort of shape. Try and get onto this curb. Can. Again, all curbs equal extra grip. And accelerating out onto the next grip. Curb out here. Didn't quite get out there. Coming towards this corner. As soon as this bit of concrete here opens up, trying to get out here, left side tyres on this curb, make the kink as open as possible. The line here for 2, there's a line for 1. That line is where I look to turn it in. And that is where, as you can see, I'm starting to lift. So generally no brake, lift, get the car, still no pedal input, get the car onto the curb halfway, start to accelerate and then let out. The car will understeer out onto that curb. It's as much curb as you want to take. And we'll go down to the next tricky braking zone. So come down this long straight, again we're flying just about as fast as we were at the end of the front straight. Coming down to Canada corner, the 4 is, you could brake at 3.5. I'm finding that slightly less brake, being slightly smoother with it, is a better option here. So I tend to be braking about the 4. so. Then bring it down through the gears. I'm trying to go slower through the gears because this car gets unsettled if you change down too quick. Down to second quite late. Turning in, get some of this curb and then go right out onto that curb. Whole car out there. The throttle to rotate. Get all the way out onto that. That is not an off track. But this whole curb to play with. Don't get this bit of grass here, that is an off track. So you can run this line how I am here. That is just within the limits of acceptability. Then right side on this curb, into this curb is the turn-in point. Third gear, slight lift. Make sure you take as much of this curb as possible. That's poor, I should have been half a car over there. Then full acceleration, go over a little bit of this curb, and you can get most of your car over this white line. If you get four wheels over there, that's an off track, so this is fine. Then I'm aiming to go in a straight line here and braking in a straight line when I get to the change in surface. See, that's my marker, so it's just before that. And I'm aiming for this curb out here. Into third. When I'm getting to curb area, I'm looking to turn in. Slight trail. Really important to get most of your turning done early here, because the earlier you can accelerate down the front stretch, the better. You don't want to be delaying that any more than you have to. That's perfect right on the curb, if not just about touching the grass. Getting into the throttle, which will push me out. Then more throttle there. Driving right out onto that curb. You can have four tyres out on this curb, not an off track. Just don't get the grass here where this curb moves in. Again, fine. Then drive into the line. Staying to the left. And that is a 208.497. We'll now do that full speed from the cockpit. and fast from the chase. So to sum up, I think the key points are to hit the curbs on the inside, use the curbs on the exit, make the track as wide as you possibly can, and don't be afraid to back up your braking points a bit, have longer, softer braking zones, keeping the car a bit happier, particularly because 25 minutes around here the tyres will get a bit upset. So just be gentle with it. Slow in, fast out. Good luck out on track. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.